Vera just wrote me that she will be back very soon. So our panelists are here. Takashi Yoshino is here. Yannis is here. Eugene Katz is here. Peter Revesz is here. So let's start the discussion. I would like to put a very brief question to each panelist. Can you give a very simple example in your field of research where you feel that symmetry principles and information came together? And may I start with Peter, because it is 1:51 a.m. already in Nebraska. Peter.
Thank you. Well, it's a very good question. I have actually studied these scripts from the point of view of similarities between symbols. And similarities of two scripts, well, there's something preserved. So if you have one script symbol and maybe later there's a derivative script symbol, for example, you have ancient Phoenician letter and you have a Greek letter which derives from it. Some essential character of those letters must be preserved for us to say that they are similar. And I think you can call it symmetry in some ways, in this vaguer sense, not necessarily a mirror symmetry, but vaguer sense that some ratios are preserved, some distances are preserved, something is preserved. I don't know. Okay. However, it is so difficult to study that I had one approach, and actually I had a very mathematical approach, I think, where I started to define, okay, the symbols are having a mirror symmetry, both this and that would be one feature. Or both of them have parallel lines, or something else, okay? I listed certain features all coming from geometry. One of the features was that they have an enclosed region, which is very interesting in writing, because we don't write a perfect circle for a letter O, even a capital letter O. Some are more oval, some are a little bit slanted, but they tend to be enclosed regions, all of them. It's very different from the letter L, which does not contain the capital L, an enclosed region. So I had a very mathematical approach and it worked well, surprisingly. This mathematical approach worked well. I can hold on for a second and actually show you something, because it's better to show than just to talk in the... Just a second, please. I will try to find it.
Takashi, I will ask the same question to you later, so please be prepared. So is there any place where symmetry and information plays an important role? But I'm back to Peter.
I try to bring this up here, and it's maybe this would be a good page to show. Just a second. I will share the screen in a second. Do you see the table?
Yes.
Okay. So I analyzed here a number of symbols in the linear A script. And each symbol, I have a vector of length 13, where this is a feature vector. and it is black if it does not contain the feature, and red if it contains the feature. So the first feature, which I just indicated like this way, the first half parenthesis, whether it has curved line. This symbol doesn't have a curved line in it. The second one is it has an enclosed region. Of course, it has an enclosed region. The little triangle on the top is an enclosed region. Has a slanted line, has parallel lines, no parallel lines, so it's black, this feature, and crossing lines is black. So every symbol linear symbol I could analyze as a length 13 feature vector. And I believe people write a little bit this variant or that variant, this symbol. And yet these features tend to be preserved, okay? A slightly slanted doesn't matter. It has to be more than degree 5, okay, to be parallel. So you see these things?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
This is symmetry, lots of information in it.
Yes.
And it's actually preserved across time, I believe. So this is how it's preserved, actually preserved. Because the linear script has developed into the carrion script, which was from attested or existing writings are known from 800 BC, whereas linear A supposedly ended with 1450, although linear B is a clear continuation of the symbols with different phonetic values. But anyway, so there's a little gap, but not too many centuries, okay? And here we have a set of symbols here again. I analyze the same features, and I could put these two into a table like this. Do you see this matrix actually? And the amazing thing is that seems to be one symbol matching another symbol on 13 features. It's almost a perfect match. You see it diagonal, I put it. And it's amazing. Something is preserved in the scripts to make, well, this is the symmetry that you were looking for, right?
Yep.
Essential
I
features.
introduced you as linking prehistory and modern computer science, and you really did show it. So
Yes,
sorry,
yes. But
please finish. But
let me just say, so over centuries, maybe millennia, certain features, essential characters of the signs are preserved. That's amazing to me. So that's brought together a lot of knowledge about scripts and script similarities and these symmetries, I would say.
so thank you very much. I'm very happy that you gave not a short answer in this case, because now there are almost, how many people we are? We are 24 people. And unfortunately, when you delivered your lecture very early morning or late night in Nebraska, there were 6-7 people around, but now there are 24. So it is much better. And now I turn to Takashi Yoshino in Japan. And again, very briefly, which are the fields? You are at the Department of Mechanical Engineering and you are trained in applied physics. So which are the fields where you felt that symmetry consideration or information consideration came together and helped your work? Very briefly, please, because this is a panel discussion. And now we have holy number 25 people around, just for you.
I agree with a part of Martin's presentation. My comment is very simple. For me, symmetry is a method to simplify the problem. reduction, and so on. Maybe that's all at present.
I confess you that your view is very, very similar to the conclusion of Martin Schroeder. So maybe a physicist trained in the US and Poland and the physicist trained in Japan has the same view. Okay, now I turn to Eugene Katz with the same question. He is a physicist trained in Russia and living in the Negev desert. Am I correct? So in Israel, yes.
Almost. I live in Israel.
Israel, but Negev desert, close to the Negev desert.
Yeah, as a solid state physicist in crystallography, of course, for us, we study symmetry by all these kind of X-ray, now mostly by electron diffraction, and it gives us all information about the crystals. Most important information we now have about dissymmetry, about the defects in the crystals. But to start, I also really appreciate Professor Schroeder's last conclusions. I agree with it. But I would like to say that I will give a talk about this Roman Kosmoteska. It's a medieval ornaments, medieval mosaics, and they are very symmetrical. And everyone knows that they're very symmetrical. But why they do it? In that time, they want to give us information. They want to give us messages about it. So I think, to be short, it is.
So it is a very nice feature of SIS that please see that the leading physicist would give a lecture about Roman mosaics. So this is it. And Vera, I hope that your cat is saved. Cat is saved, not saved yet. You should go back. You should go back. But anyway, here you are with us. So the same question to you. You are a mathematician, or more precisely a specialist of mathematics education, but working for the Faculty of Architecture, a very good combination because mathematics, art, architecture, science, education, everything is together. What is your view about this in your study? Of course, I see some polyhedra behind you, but anyway, what are the points when you think that symmetry and information are coming together and useful in your research or study?
First of all, I am very sorry for missing both your presentations and Revesz in the first place, because I really wanted to see them, but I will see them later, hopefully. There are many discussions that I would have liked to understand better, especially for the relation of information with symmetry. But for me, I use symmetry, many aspects of symmetry when modeling polyhedra, because they are fundamental. It's a fundamental asset to model polyhedra, especially rotational symmetry. And also for study structures, because symmetry gives a stability to the structure that in no other way is possible. So it is an important property of three-dimensional forms that I explore all the time and studies. But forgive me if my discourse is not very good, because currently I'm worried with other things. Forgive me.
We understand well your concerns.
Yes, so Martin, this is your turn, because I hope that you had a short time until after the beautiful lecture to relax a little bit after a good run. So the same question to you, that you are founding dean of a new university in Japan, which was, I think, an international campus, which was a great challenge. And now you are at Tohoku Daigaku, Tohoku University, which is one of the top universities in Japan. How do you see, because your view is very special in the following sense, that you have European backgrounds, you earned your PhD in North America, in the US, living in Japan, so you really can unite three continents, the feeling from three continents. Martin, please.
Basically, my presentations at this conference are like addressing all the time one topic or maybe two concepts. Concept of symmetry, concept of structure. And for me, the most important is that information is typically studied from the point of view of its manifestation as selective information. Selective information means how we select something out of some possibilities. But it is only one side of information. The other one is structural information. It's not different information. It is just different manifestation of information. And this is like big missing part in the study of information. Not that everybody, I will actually, in different talk, I'll be talking about this, that there are many instances of studies of this, but it is just not popular and it is not well understood. And basically, there's lots of work to be done. So for me, the important thing is information, especially its structural aspect, is most important, and symmetry is tool for study of this structure.
Thank you very much. I would like to return to Takashi Yoshino for a while. Takashi,
Yes.
I'm very much interested in your view because the following thing. Originally, I believe that symmetry is a very useful concept because in my lecture, I try to explain that already 2,500 years, this concept is rooted in both in mathematics and also in art and aesthetics. So this is not a new idea. This is used in let's say, in Plato's mathematical notes and also in Plato's aesthetical notes, the same in case of Aristotle. So I believe that this is a very useful concept. And then I understood that there is a big trouble if we are turning to Asia. Not a big trouble if we are turning to India, because symmetria in Sanskrit, samiti, basically the same concept exists. But in China and Japan, not. Be precise, each meaning of the Western symmetry can be translated into Japanese, into Chinese. For example, taisho. The dictionary would say taisho means symmetry, but taisho, if you see two facing to each other, this is only mirror symmetry. If I say harmony, in Japan, you would say chowa, and definitely not taisho, because taisho is facing. If you need proportion or balance, you say kinsei. So that connection is not available in the Japanese culture, the same in Chinese and Korean culture. So please say something how, of course, you have the possibility with syllabic katakana writing to write shin, me, to, ri, and in this case, you have something similar. But in Japanese culture and Japanese feeling is very different. And please say something about katachi, which may play, katachi means form, may play a similar role in Japanese culture, and dui cheng in Chinese. Dui cheng is the same trouble as taisho, dui cheng, just mirror symmetry. So please say something about katachi in Japanese, sing, I think sing in Chinese.
Maybe you know more than me.
No, definitely not.
However, I think, of course, I'm not a representative of Japanese people, and
But sorry, you are a member of Katachi no Kagaku Kai, the Society for Science on Form.
But for me, katachi is all of the shapes. I don't want to remove any shapes from the definition of katachi.
So katachi is a unifying concept in this sense.
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe
And of course,
among the katachi, we can divide some forms. Maybe someone according to symmetry, and some according to color or impression. However, the katachi itself means all of the shape.
Okay, so
Do
maybe
you have?
May I
Sorry.
add something? Oh, sorry.
yes.
Yes, sorry.
Martin?
Do you have some, Takashi, some formal translation of the word, some exact meaning for the word, or is it that like those German words that mean lots of things in just one?
On katachi?
Yes, on katachi.
Maybe form.
Okay, let's hear them.
But you know,
Symmetry, proportion, form.
Form. We have as Dennis knows well, in Japanese domestic society, I belong to Katachi no Kagakukai. That means science on form. However, the important point is that we use the word form to represent Katachi.
Yes, yes, thank you very much.
I just
No,
wanted to add one thing.
Martin, please.
Because then, as you were saying, that there is no word for symmetry, which could be like one reason could be that there is no importance of this, but there is no traditional word for nature. Shizen, it is modern word which was introduced to translate Aristotle. Self-moving. So the thing is that, of course, Japanese culture is deeply related to nature, and there is no. It was just there was no separation of humans and nature, so there was no need for this. The same could be in case of katachi or symmetry. That this kind of things where there was no need to use words, and a lot of things in Japanese culture is expressed not through verbal communication, but through non-verbal communication. And you could see that I like on the front slide of my presentation, there was this Zenga of Gibbon. It was like present, but it was much deeper, and if you draw just triangle, like in textbook, in Western textbook, there is no emotional response. But when it is done by a calligraphy master, it is a piece of art.
Yes, it is very important that what you pointed out. So it is not definitely necessary to have a term for something, and we may feel it, and sometimes we may have more freedom. By the way, there is a tribe in Australia where there are only two numerals, Emel and Pecheval, the Morea River, and still with 1 and 2, they are able to express a lot of things. Of course, for computer scientists, it could be interesting that it's basically a binary number system. So Pecheval means 4. So yes, it is a very important point. And you mentioned shodo in Western language is calligraphy, but I like to use the Japanese term shodo because do, the same as judo, this is a way of do something. So this is not calligraphy, because in Western culture, calligraphy, kallos, beautiful writing, shodo is much more deep, and you did so this beautiful famous shodo calligraphy, which is basically, I would say, not a decorative art like the Western calligraphy, but this is a very deep, fine art, and much more than fine art, shodo. So do, the way, but this is not a good translation. We cannot translate do into any Western language, or to in Chinese. So I turn to Eugene very briefly, that forgive me that I would like to turn not your today position, but your earlier knowledge, because the Russian school of crystallography was especially strong. Unfortunately, we didn't mention I mentioned the name, or at least I did show a slide, for example, Shubnikov and Kopczyk, who made fascinating work. I think the Institute of Crystallography, one of the largest research institutes of crystallography in the world, named after Shubnikov. And just I would like to add to Martin Schroeder's lecture that he spoke about the dissymmetry principle formulated by Pierre Curie, but it came out that Shubnikov and Kopczyk, especially Kopczyk in a later age, generalized using group theoretic, because Pierre Curie had no group theoretic approach of, I believe, of dissymmetry principle. So how are you able to unite this, how you are able to continue of this deep Russian school, which was very much interested not only in crystallography, but also in art? I just would like to give the title of their famous book, Symetria v nauke v iskustve, 1972, Moscow. And in 2 years period, with the help of American Nobel Prize winner, his introduction, it was translated in 74, in 2 years period, Symmetry in Science and Art, Plenum Press, New York. In 2 years, it was translated into English immediately. So how you feel, how you are able to continue, and also to use in Israel of this very, very interesting research which Dennis Shechtman represent, that it is possible to break the old rules that no fivefold symmetry. Please, Eugene. Eugene, please.
Yes, thanks, Dennis. But can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I think your question was so complicated. Let me answer at least a part of it. Yeah, first of all, the books of Shubnikov and Kopczyk, books, a number of it, they are really classical work and a really example of connection between science and art, which is important for our society as well. Yes, I think it's, I ever mentioned and also wrote about another less known mathematician. His name is Dmitry Mordechai Boltavskoy, who who introduced the Euler theorem about polyhedra. Yeah, it's not very good connection, I think. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I just say that in addition to Shubnikov, I ever like to mention a great mathematician, Dmitry Mordechai Boltavskoy, who introduced the idea of Euler theorem to analyze the biology, into biology, to analyze radiolaria structure. And today we use it for analyze of structure of fullerene molecules, for which the discovery got the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in '95. And this work of Mordechai Boltavskoy was before the great classical book of Darcy Thompson on growth and forms, yes, which is also very important in our context. Yes, about Shechtman, yes, of course, it is very interesting discovery, which very important. I don't think we have a great application of discovery of quasi-crystals, but it changed the definition of crystals. Now the definition of crystals is anything who shows a diffraction pattern. This is also connection to your previous question about information and symmetry. This is our information. The people who works in structure of solid state, crystals, molecules, whatever, we just read this information by diffraction. This was great. The discovery of DNA, for example. So I don't know if I answer on your question.
You answered very well, so at least I appreciate it. Yeah. Of course, other people should say it. It is very important, and I thank you very much for pointing out, because in the Western world, Darcy Thompson is well known in 1917 on growth and form.
Yeah, this is a great book.
It is a great book, 2-volume. Footnote, just between us, other people should not listen. Biologists dislike it because he was against
I know.
He believed that mathematical, physical law are more important than Darwin's theory.
Yeah,
But
And
do
also-
you know that he was awarded the Darwin Medal, I think in 1941. So it is, Darcy Tomes is very interesting. Incidentally, I just to Takashi, I would like to say something, that Darcy Thompson was translated into Japanese.
Yes.
But it is 1,200 page in English, and in Japanese maybe 100. So it is just a small section what you have in Japanese. So I think Professor Ogawa had the first edition of 1,700 page, and then the second edition in 42, then a short version available in Japanese. So we don't speak about the Japanese version, but the original English one. So this biological application is very important. And now I turn to Peter Revesz, because you started to unite your knowledge in computer science with genetics. So you are also going into the direction of biology. How do you deal with information in biology, information in genetics, and how do you use computer science in this?
Well, you have so nice questions, but they are requiring a lot of time to really answer.
But just very briefly, because we have a few minutes.
I am fascinated by biology and genetics. I found it so fascinating. But it's so structured. So biology in general was so messy. All the names of these animals, the Latin names, the classifications, the memory, memorize all of that. And then DNA with only 4 nucleotides, only so many number of amino acids, and so structured, so beautiful. Okay. So anyway, I like to work on that. I have done work on some cancer research with colleagues, very interesting, identifying genes and looking for all sorts of interesting patterns. And what seems to be common pattern among a lot of patients we have to find, because that's how you identify which gene, which part of the gene is involved in certain type of cancer. So it's a lot of data mining.
Yes.
But in general, I am interested in data mining of all sorts. And this is what people don't understand about me. I can work on linguistics. I can work on script similarities. I can work on genetics
because of data mining.
Very, very abstract view of data. So this somehow it's all related, all the same. The essence, the abstract view that I have of data is basically all the same. I have applied bioinformatics algorithms to where they are looking at the evolution and relatedness of organisms. Okay, I have applied it to the script evolution and the script, how people learn from each other the scripts. The Phoenician alphabet spread all over the world, but before that, I believe scripts have spread. For example, we have found with my PhD students that from Sumerian pictograms derived the Indus Valley script. It's spread.
Very interesting, very interesting. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank you very much. Marcin and Vera, it is almost time when we should finish. So Marcin, I will give you the floor or the table or the microphone as you wish. So I would be very happy if you could make some concluding remark of this plenary session. I'm very sorry for Vera, but I'm appreciated.
The problem is solved.
With us. Pardon?
The problem is solved now.
The problem is solved. So
yes.
This means I'm very happy. I'm very happy.
Thank you.
The cat is not anymore the roof, because we should deal with human being and animal being, even with Maxwell demons. But the cat is also a very special animal. So it is very good that she
Yes,
or
part
he
of the
is
family.
there. And you will chair in this case the session, which
Okay.
will start 4 minutes from now. Okay, so Marcin, please make some concluding remark.
I would like to thank everybody. I think that this plenary session was one of the most interesting in all summit. I enjoyed very much Peter's invited lecture, which was really great and interesting and thought-provoking. But also I would like to thank everyone, and of course Dennis, for very good presentation of symmetry. And all contributors, I would like to say that it was really very good session, and I enjoyed it very much. I hope that you enjoyed it at least in part. You share this enjoyment with me. So thank you very much. Thank you for contributions to the discussion. Discussion was also very interesting and good. And I hope that we'll meet in Porto next year, and then we can sit at the table and we can talk to each other without mediation of IT. So once again, thank you very much. And I would like to propose to have maybe 10-minute break. Yeah,
Okay.
because
Okay. Can we join at 7:45? Is it good for you?
Yeah, for me it will be
7:45
great.
UTC.
7:40. Yes.
Okay.
I apologize for the public that we had no time for questions because of some special circumstances. But anyway, Vera is a very strict person, a very strict and very good chair. And please trust us that Vera will keep very well the time, unlike me or unlike we. And she always will give 5 minutes after each lecture for questions. So if someone had some questions, I have, by the way, very many questions to Peter, which I will put him not publicly or in chat. Anyway, please join us again. And if there is some questions, we may discuss it in a forthcoming session, which starts very soon. So thank you very much. And have a nice broken symmetry, or sorry, break, not broken symmetry, break. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for all of the panelists.
Thank
you, Peter. Thank you, Eugene.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vera.
Marcin. Thank you, Vera. Thank you, all of you. And thank you for the public for being with us. Thank you very much. See you very soon. Bye-bye.
In 16 minutes, we'll restart.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.